Hey, welcome to another one of our analysis sessions. In this video, I'm going to go through a few of the key points on your catch. So this week we've got groups with different drills in there. So we've got things like the sculling again, we've got a little bit of polar bear, we've got some Unco, and we've got some single arm action. So what I'm trying to do is basically going to go through quickly each of those drills on this video with a few examples, and hopefully that will make a lot more sense. So without further ado, let's have a look. So we can see on the screen here we've got three views. They are all going to show some sculling. Let me just get them set up, which I thought I'd done once, but apparently not. First of all, I'm going to look at this top left-hand one. And if we look on that, so we've got Chris sculling. Pull buoy in, we've got engagement through the core, absolutely still here. Could do with a little bit more engagement from his posterior chain just to bring those legs up a little bit more. And we can see the speed of movement of his hands. You're not going to get pressure on the water unless your hands are moving quite quickly. And your palms have to be facing backwards. So let's quickly go back to the start. And let me slow that down a touch. So the key thing here, so we've got pressure here because the fingertips are pointing down. Arguably, he'd probably get a little bit more pressure if they were actually pointing down a little bit more, and you can see he's actually starting to do that a little bit more as he's gotten into the effort. But all of that creates pressure pushing the water behind him. Okay, when he needs to breathe, sticks his head up, puts his head back down again. Now we're going into position 2. So this is the windscreen wipers, and we've got a pretty close alignment through sort of the shoulders, and I've come slightly off the side angle, but you can see how the elbows are pressed up. There we go, that's better. I'm just lagging behind with the camera. But we can see how the elbows are pressed up. We can put the forearms down here, and we've obviously got the fingertips pointing at the bottom and pressing water behind him. So all of that makes life a lot easier and means he can propel himself on. We're not going to do 3 and 4, which is what he demonstrates in a second. So let's just have a quick look at what that looks like from head on. I did say I want to whistle through these quite quickly. So at full speed, you can see how little movement there is from his elbows. So his elbows are sort of fixed pretty much within this sort of narrow range here. Okay, so the elbows are not moving. So there's no breaststroke. So the upper arms here are also not moving. Okay, all the action's coming from below the elbows. And you can see probably slightly better here how much the fingertips are pointing towards the back. And then we go to the back one. Let's try again at the front. So at the front, same thing again, yeah. Okay, and looking at top right now, we shall have a look from above. And again, we can see those elbows being pretty much fixed. There's not much movement. Let's just go back a little bit more as we've gone there. So we can see elbows here are pretty much fixed. And then when he comes down to the windscreen wipers, again, we've got that nice line straight through there. So shoulders, elbows, and wrists are all nicely in line for the sculling number 2. And this is at full speed. You can see how quickly he's moving down the pool. And the only thing that's moving that is that pressure from the water being pushed backwards. Right, moving swiftly on, let's have a look at the next one. Okay, so let's have a look at polar bear then. So from the side, so polar bear, again, pull buoy between your ankles. On polar bear, we're really looking to try and get your arms over the front of the stroke and into that catch. So as you can see here, once the camera catches up, so the hands don't come above the water. So you're always maintaining your hands in the water at all times. And there, so okay, so we've got that snap at the front of the stroke where we've got fingertips are pointing down, then you've got into your forearm and then into your shoulder. You can see that rotation that he's got here. So we've talked a lot about that sort of shrugging of the shoulder, internal rotation of the shoulder. You can really see that in there as the shoulder is coming up close to his ear here, and that engagement then from the upper back. And then as we progress that through very slowly, okay, so getting into that position there where we've got elbow, where the sculling, the same position sculling was, with shoulder, elbow, wrist pretty much in line. Certainly not a dropped elbow at this stage here. And at this stage in the stroke, we've got coming past his ears on the catch, and the forward moving one is just spearing to the front. So And again, we can see if I pause it there, this arm, fingertips are just starting to dip down, just starting to initiate the catch as this one, as this one comes back past his ears into the next position. So we've got that strong sort of 3/4 catch position. We can also see the rotation. So hips and shoulder opening up, and then when he breathes, straight in there, quick breath, and through on the next one. So let's have a look from above. So again, another thing that we can see here with Chris is the alignment. So one of the above view shots is that if we look at following his hand here as it tracks it back through to the back of the stroke, is it stays pretty much underneath his shoulder and underneath his body and exits close to his hips here. The other thing to note from that is how still his feet are. So there's relatively little movement from side to side. There is a little bit. It is incredibly difficult to balance this. So you really know you've nailed it when your feet are not moving around at all. But that's why we put the pull buoy here, because it forces you to engage your core a little bit more to stop that happening. So remember, you can squeeze your glutes. Imagine you've got a kickboard stuck right between each cheek and you're having to squeeze your glutes to hold that kickboard in. That will help you to maintain the posture, and that will also help you to engage your posterior chain, so using your hamstrings and your glutes to hold your body position a little bit higher. Bottom left, so from the head on we can really see that alignment straight away there, so where this hand is just tracking straight back underneath his shoulder, opened into the rotation here. So if we put a clock on that, and I always get this round the wrong way, yes, Sod's law. Let's try that one again. So flat water, and then the angle of the shoulders, we're looking at sort of 35, 40 degrees rotation there as we come out. But again, nice strong position there. And we've seen from the side that that elbow is up. He's not dropped that elbow. And the hand, as he comes through flat here, is underneath his shoulder. Top draw. Okay, let's have a look at top left-hand side then with this. So single arm is push off the wall, one arm straight by your side, and then you're just using one arm. Okay, there's two single arm drills that we use. There's single arm and then there's Unco. This is single arm, and the way you can tell the difference between the two is the breathing point in the stroke. So let's repeat that. Okay, so you'll notice that in a second he's going to breathe underneath the arm that he's using here on the left arm. There we go, there's a breathing stroke. Got rotation from his hips, opening up of his shoulders, arm by his side. Okay, and then quickly back in. And then again, breathing underneath the arm. With Unco, you breathe to this side. It makes a slight difference in the timing of the stroke. So within this one, you imagine you've got two arms coming through. I haven't got a lot of space here, so my demonstration's pretty poor. But as you're coming through, you will breathe at that point there as this arm's coming through. Now you're in single arm, you're just imagining you haven't got that arm. So with Unco, you breathe as your hand goes in, and it's really about getting that good catch at the front of the stroke and then breathing on that stroke. Many of you will find that one really difficult because that's where most people miss their stroke in the water. Key points though. So we want to try and keep the hips engaged. Obviously you've got fins on to help momentum, and keeping the rotation so that you're able to get into a good strong catch position and focusing upon your catch. So a quick look from above, bottom left. So again, we can see struggling a little bit more with the alignment on this, just because when I got Chris to do this, he hadn't actually done this drill much before, and was learning as we go along. But you can still see the alignment there is holding this underneath the water with a little bit more rotation and control. And I know many of you have got this good control through your hips now because we spent a lot of time working on it. Using that core, making sure you're extended full length, so that you're able to be as tall as you can, having that tension through your midriff, so that you've got the length in the stroke. You can control that rotation from your hips, and as your shoulder opens up into that position there, then you can get that extension out. If we look at the underwater shot, top right again, so again we can see from the catch position into that extended out the front, and then let me slow-mo it, playing it forward. We've got There we go. Fingertips have come down. Elbows starting to come up. If we had the on the other side, we see the shrug coming through there and just pulling through. What I would really like to see is just a little bit more opening of the shoulders. Drop that shoulder down a little bit more and get the elbow over the top. That would just give them a little bit more leverage and enable to get a little bit more pull on the stroke. Meanwhile, trying to keep the left hand, in this case, nice and relaxed by his side. People do this in slightly different ways. Some people have it nice and relaxed by the side. Some people are allowed to just let it move around. It doesn't make too much difference. It's whatever you prefer and however you can execute the drill the best. And we got a head-on one here. Wait, another side-on one. But there you go. That's single arm. Now let's have a quick look at Unco. Okay, so with our Unco drill, we've got very similar push-off. Get the one arm by your side, and then we will see breathing to the opposite side of the arm that's working. So we can see now here his head is breathing away. Meanwhile, he's got to try and maintain a good catch here. If, as happens with a lot of people on that breathing stroke, this elbow drops, the hand is too high, you'll really struggle with propulsion because the momentum is coming from your kick and you're not really getting any catch from this. So if you need to be able to maintain that high elbow, that good internal rotation from your shoulder here and opening up of your shoulders from the rotation. So some people find this one more difficult, some people find the single arm drill more difficult. Let's have a quick look head on. You can imagine that other arm coming through and taking a stroke, but it's not in this case. The alignment's good, so hands catching underneath and staying underneath the torso all the time. And on bottom left again, you can see the head breathing towards this side. Minimal times, okay, so not over rotating. Quick breath in, breathing out. You can see the bubbles coming out of his mouth and the nose all the way through. So no holding of the breath, continual breathing in and out. Once more and then I'm done for the day. So the key to all of these drills is really trying to help you get some more propulsion so that you're able to propel yourself through the water. Now you might find these quite hard. You might find that you can hold your stroke when you do this for a while, but then it disintegrates. That's entirely normal. Because what's happening is you're catching more water. It's like sticking an extra 5 kilos on a gym exercise of some description, a bench curl, bicep curl or something. You're putting an extra load on. Sure, you can maintain the quality, you just can't do it for as long, so you fatigue. And this is exactly the same case, because if you start to swim better and hold more water, and this is one of the few examples, all the other drills are about making you more efficient. This is about enabling you to catch more water, to enable you to do more work. Fundamentally, it requires energy. So if you're not used to doing it, if the muscles are not used to having that ability to capture and hold and press that water, sooner or later you will fatigue. But that's what training's for. So you hold that for 50 meters, you hold it for 75 meters, then you hold it for 100, 200, 300, and progressively you get better and better and better and more able to do it. Some of it will be cardiovascular, some of it fitness, some of it will be muscular conditioning, and some of it will obviously be technical robustness. But that's the key to working with that improved propulsion. So I hope you found this video useful. Please, I've been told to say, can you subscribe to the channel and like it, etc., etc. I'm not quite sure what difference it makes, but it makes somebody feel better. Anyway, thanks very much. Cheers. See you next time.